Hi everyone, nice to see you again. Having received the monthly Down talk by President Iwano of the Kosei-kai, being grateful for the precious gift of life, I'm going to share my understanding of the talk. I hope you enjoy my interpretation. Here we go. To truly appreciate the preciousness of life, as the title of the first half of the talk suggests, I believe that learning from the past is the wisest course of action. The Great War, World War II, mentioned at the beginning of the Dharma talk, was an event I did not personally experience directly, as I was born 15 years later after the war ended. However, I'm aware of the various horrors of war, such as the devastating bombings of the local cities across the country, the intense Battle of Okinawa at the unimaginable hell depicted by the atomic bombs of Hiroshima and also Nagasaki. While I know these events as history, they remain distant and abstract. I can only grasp them through historical records or the testimonies of the survivors who endured those horrors. Of course, learning about life does not necessarily require us to look back 80 years to every memory of war. For those of us living in Japan, a country prone to natural disasters, I cannot help but seriously confront the loss of daily life and precious lives taken by earthquakes, tsunamis, increasingly powerful typhoons, landslides, and large-scale forest fires. When we recall the memory of the significant earthquakes, the Great Hanshin Awaji earthquake 1995 and the Great East Japan earthquake 2011 come to mind. There are also concerns about the potential outbreak of anticipated Nankai prone earthquake, and even fears of the recurrence of the Great Kanto earthquake from 100 years ago. Government advertisements urging preparedness are constantly being broadcast. Additionally, there are persistently high suicide rate, traffic accident fatalities, violent crimes dominate the news every day. Of course, looking beyond our borders, there remains the ongoing Russia-Ukraine war and the continued tense military standoff between North and South Korea. In the Middle East, the continuing conflict between Israel and Palestine, and also Iraq, particularly with the Islamic organization Hamas, the horrifying humanitarian crimes being committed, the Afghanistan conflict, the Syrian civil war, the Yemen civil war, and countless other wars and the conflict varying scales continue unabated. Domestic political instability is driving refugees and immigrants to third countries, and the resulting challenges in host nations are being chronic issues that require further detailed analysis. Looking back over the 80 years since the end of World War II, we can see a variety of dramas unfolding around the value of life. Unfortunately, however, the bitter reality of conflict between nations, ethnic groups, tribes, and individuals will likely continue as we reflect on the significance of our existence as a Kosei-kai. We recall that our relief activities began under the motto of saving people and restoring the world. We resolve to continue bringing harmony to places of disharmony and shedding light on hope and peace in areas of suffering and distress. When we consider this, speaking of the preciousness of life means contemplating life itself, and paradoxically, by discussing its opposites, such as death and suffering, the actual value of life becomes even more evident. The Dharma talk from the President at the memorial service on June the 1st reminded me of my experience last month. The President quoted an account written by a midwife to introduce the preciousness of life and how to face life. The account described a tragic event where a fetus whose heartbeat stopped before birth was born as a stillborn baby. Actually, the story he quoted about stillbirth reminded me of a recent experience of myself. It was during the last week of May, and I received a long email from the mother of a young member I had met during my time as a minister in Tokyo. The daughter, who was raised in a devout Kosei-kai family and was the eldest of 3 siblings, full of energy and vitality in her mid-20s, living seemingly a perfect life. Even after I left my position as minister and began serving at the headquarters, I remained in contact with her family. Last year, I was invited to her wedding reception and had the honor of giving a congratulatory speech in front of both families. Her husband is an Irish American, and I recall that nearly half of the guests at the wedding reception were foreign nationals who had traveled from the United States. After their marriage, they settled in the United States and recently moved to Linwood, a northern suburb of Seattle in Washington state. Last December, we received the joyful news that the happy couple had been blessed with her first baby. However, the couple, who were at the peak of their happiness, were suddenly plunged into despair in April this year when they received a diagnosis during the routine checkup that the fatal heartbeat had stopped. Since the fetus had reached 32 weeks and had grown to a certain extent, it became necessary to deliver the deceased fetus through a normal delivery process, taking into consideration the potential impact on the mother. She tormented herself with guilt and spent days before and after the birth in unbearable pain. Of course, a mother who had recently retired as a public elementary school teacher immediately flew to the United States. Many messages from sympathy were sent from her Dharma center in Tokyo. Given that her mother was a veteran koto player in the Kosei ensemble, the group also offered encouragement later. Additionally, thanks to the timely and substantial support from her husband's sister on site, she was able to remain her composure. 2 months have passed since the devastating birth, and she is gradually regaining her sense of self. She tearfully expressed her gratitude to the many people in Japan who offered prayers and blessing for her. Upon discharge from the hospital, she conveyed her most profound gratitude to her attending physician, doctor, for doing everything possible. And the doctor also offered kind words of apology for the unfortunate outcome. Her husband's sister prepared a birthday cake for the baby, and the family and the relatives could send her off together. When she received the news of the pregnancy, she had prepared baby's socks and offered them, along with the name already chosen at the family altar for prayers. The baby's name is Shima Rainy Kanato. Of course, this matter has already been reported to Nick, the minister of Seattle branch Down Center, and he was kindly agreed to welcome her warmly at the branch starting this month. I want to take this opportunity to ask Reverend Nick for his continued support. The separation from a beloved family member is, in fact, a phenomenon so common in the world that it would be impossible to list all the cases. However, when reflecting on the mystery of life, there seem to be countless lessons to be learned from baby Kanato's case. We see life's rarity, dignity, and mystery when confronting death. From the perspective of death, the total opposite of life, even the ordinary, everyday interactions with life that we take for granted may reveal profound changes. Here, a passage from the Hokkyo or Dhammapada, number 182, a text frequently cited by the president, comes to mind. It goes like this: it is difficult to receive human life. We are all destined to die. How precious it is to have life now. It is difficult to hear the true teachings. How fortunate it is that the Buddhas appear in this world. Death is the inescapable destiny that all beings must face. While we cannot objectively experience our death, we can learn the meaning of life through the conflicts and wars of the world, as well as through the separation from those close to us. 80 years after the end of World War II, human society, this world of suffering, still faced the harsh reality of suffering. And it may not be easy to find a complete solution to this problem, either on the global or individual level. Nevertheless, when we reflect on the precious life we have been given, and the fact that we are alive today, we resolve to strive toward the ideal of living in harmony, as told by the Buddha. As members of ritual Kosei-kai, as lay Buddhists, and as disciples of the founder and the president, I pledge to take steady steps forward, beginning with the practice of looking down at our own feet, and to renew my efforts with renewed vigor. All right, that's all for today. Thank you very, very much for your attention. We will see you again. Thank you very much.